I'm Kate.
I'm Elle.
We are your last two brain cells down to Faye. And if you're joining us for the first time, where the hell have you been, Loca?
Oh, I'm so excited that we're back. This is episode 1 of our ACOTAR Deep Dive, where we're going chapter by chapter, discussing and theorizing and overanalyzing everything.
World building, character arcs, symbolism, tangents, lots of tangents, receipts, proof, timeline. But we will keep it mass-verse spoiler free. So no Throne of Glass or Crescent City spoilers until we hit you with the massive MAAS massive spoiler section at the end. So new readers, seasoned readers, everyone gets fed. And this week is going to be really fun because we're going to break down some of those mercenary theories.
Ooh, we're also going to have our hashtag Cauldron Blessed and Cauldron Stressed picks each week, where we award our favorite and least favorite moments from those chapters.
And we really want it to be interactive. We started this podcast because we're two real life, longtime best friends who talked about books nonstop and thought we might as well do this in front of mics and make new friends in the process. And we have. We've met so many people I genuinely consider friends through doing this. So if you have theories, ideas, opinions, book recs, DM us at DTFA Podcast. And if you come to Nashville, let us know so we can spiral together IRL.
Yes, please reach out. We love meeting new people. It's always so much fun. And speaking of the book recs, we have standalone episodes where we discuss other books that we're currently reading or have read, like Lights Out, Quicksilver, Anathema, Bride, Fate Inked in Blood, and more.
Like a lot more. We are working on episodes for Direbound, Bloodwing Academy, The Wolf King, and The Night Prince. I think 2026 might be the year of the wolf for me. It's either the year of the wolf or the year of the snake. But then we also want to do a Brimstone episode and break down everything that happened. I'm just still pushing my way through that. Like, I'm enjoying it, but I had to take a break.
Okay.
And keep your bottom little yearning eyes peeled for
Heated Rivalry,
our new personalities.
It's a problem for me. I have to tell you guys that I am deep into my obsession. It's well past normal fandom and probably approaching Grippy Socks territory.
I haven't seen you this obsessed in a very long time.
I know I'm having I cannot separate myself, which it's so much fun, but also I do have a normal life I have to get back to at some point. I mean, this is completely rational devotion. I immediately downloaded Quinn so that I could hear the actors in Ember and Ice.
I had gotten rid of So I had Quinn because I have this obsession with Jacob Morgan, the narrator, and he was on there as Zachary Weber, as if he could hide from me. And then when his stuff kind of disappeared off the app, I deleted the app. But I guess I have to get it again.
I haven't even explored the rest of the app. I've re-listened to Ember and Ice a couple of times, and I made this choice with my full chest, both tits. I have zero regrets. We will spiral about the show, the books, Quinn, the fan edits.
Oh my God, the fan edit. I opened a link from a stranger on the internet. So there was a fan edit that was on Twitter, X, whatever, and it got deleted. And there was this Google Drive link being sent around. And I mean, it's the first thing you learn about the internet is don't open things from strangers. But I was like, does anyone have the link? And
this fandom is different. It's okay.
It worked. I mean,
really?
Maybe they're also like spy software on my computer now, but it was a very good edit. It was spicy.
I literally just opened my Instagram before we started recording. I don't even know what I was going to check, and everything was Heated Rivalry. There were so many edits, and I was sucked in, and I was like, no, I have other things I'm supposed to be doing. So before we spiral right now, we are going to get into it, like really get into this January 15th. So clear your schedule because we are going to the cottage.
Going to the cottage.
Before
we dive into chapters 1 through 6 and step into the snowy forest where Feyre Archeron's story begins, grab yourself a little treat. You deserve it. Drive to that job you hate, fold laundry, or put it on that one chair like I do. Or simply disassociate as we finally enter Prithian.
Dun, dun, dun. The book opens in a labyrinth of snow and ice.
Was anyone else's sexual awakening, I know you know where I'm going, that spiky-haired goblin king with like the tightest pants ever, and he was pelvic thrusting his way through the labyrinth? And Bowie was like 39 when they filmed that. I think Jennifer Connelly was 13?
No.
Yeah. I swear to God, because I think
Not in the labyrinth. I think she was probably like 16 or 18.
No,
like
I think she said she was. when she was first auditioning, but I'm pretty sure she was 13 or 14, even if she was
She
16.
was definitely still a teenager.
It just didn't age very well. But so it's a little predatory, beautiful, but dangerous, like this scene. Like a lot of things in this series are beautiful, but lethal.
It's also
And
silly.
it is. But I've always said if you're going to be dangerous, you better also be beautiful.
Exactly.
There's too many men walking around who are dangerous and ugly. It's also worth noting this is not the last time Feyre will find herself in a labyrinth.
Ooh. And I don't know if you've heard, but our girl Feyre is an artiste.
Which, yes, she gets clowned on relentlessly for her painting by the internet, by us. But between a fictional character who makes painting her entire personality and us, real people who make that fictional character our entire personality, who's the real clown here?
I see what you're saying. Also, I genuinely don't think that she's bad at painting.
If she were bad at painting, Nesta would have already destroyed her. Like Nesta doesn't hold back. But what I've always loved about this opening is the contrast. Feyre is in survival mode. She's starving and freezing, and yet she still notices beauty. She sees color and composition and light. That ability never really leaves her, even when everything else is stripped away. It's one of the not quiet because it comes up a lot, but her love of paint and beauty, it's one of the ways that the book tells us who she really is because Feyre is a dreamer. And it's also just such a cool open for a movie or show. Like, I don't know why. I can picture it really well. And I don't know if I'm actually just picturing the Hunger Games without, like, with snow, but the snow and the ice, and the only sound is Feyre's breathing, and then you see the arrow being pulled back. Because yes, this is a book about fairies and a girl with a bow and arrow, and the FMC is Feyre Archeron, basically fairy archer.
Oh, shut up. I didn't even think about that.
But I just love this opening.
I love it. Actually, I get a visual that I'm not sure if it's something I've seen on Game of Thrones when they're up north of the wall.
I can picture something.
It's peaceful and it's beautiful, but it almost feels deadly in that the stillness has to mean something else.
Yeah.
I love the ability to recognize this beauty around her. It's a survival all on its own. It's a moment for her to disassociate from this stress and the strain. It helps keep a different part of her alive and helps her to really push through.
Yeah, it's coping.
Yeah. Feyre has been driven deeper and deeper into the woods where giant wolves have been seen, hunting to feed her family, her older sisters, Elaine and Nesta, and her nameless father.
The family dynamics are so complicated, or I guess nuanced is the better word. They're a lot. Like, I'm a once in a generation hater, so my gut reaction, like Feyre's, is anger and bitterness because when we meet this family, everyone sucks objectively. The father sucks, Nesta sucks, Elaine sucks, the village sucks, Feyre sucks when she's rolling around in the hay with Isaac Hale.
Hey.
But it's important to remember we're also experiencing this world entirely through Feyre's POV. And she's bitter for good reason. Living with the constant pressure of keeping your family alive will do that to a girl. If this were a musical, the opening number would be like Feyre's Lament, and then track 2 would be Feyre's Lament reprise, because it's just windows to the walls bleak.
We also meet her after she's been in a bleak, it's been bleak for years now.
Yeah.
So we're meeting her as she's already been kind of
at her lowest.
Yeah, beat down by everything.
And that resentment colors how everyone and everything is introduced. The setting, the people, the vibes. It really stood out to me in this reread how much Feyre's emotional state shapes the way we meet this world and characters.
We aren't getting anybody else's POV right now, so we don't actually know what they're thinking or feeling or what Feyre is potentially projecting. There are moments reading this when I am furious on Feyre's behalf. I'm ready to storm in and give my opinion, but I'm also immediately frustrated that Feyre is not standing up for herself, not demanding more from her sisters or shaking her father by the shoulders and saying, hello.
Hello.
But I also think that Feyre understands something really grim. These roles that they've all fallen into are how the family survives emotionally. The petty squabbles, the denial, the helplessness, it's all a version of coping.
Yeah, I mean, I would say everyone's doing the best they can, but I don't know if that's true.
It's annoying and it's unfair coping that disproportionately screws Feyre over, but it's still coping nonetheless. So I'm trying to give more space in this reread to not immediately have opinions formed about each character because
Yeah.
we don't really know them yet. We just see they're setting the scene. We're just getting started and calling out everything that's happening. If Feyre was to suddenly start fighting back, they're just everything is so tense and, as we said, bleak right now. It would just make the situation worse if she was to make something out of each situation.
And I do genuinely feel bad for all of them. Poverty on this level would be brutal. Depression and desperation, it warps people. Some days when I think about it, I want to cry imagining her father out there with his ruined leg begging. But then there's other days I want to kick his cane out from under him. And that's actually something my mind conjures anytime I see old people. I would never do it, but I have intrusive thoughts. Like, I think about kicking canes out. I think about whenever I'm driving, I think, "Should I just run my car into a tree? LOL."
It's the same thing like, honestly, stairs give me anxiety. A top flight of stairs, I'm like, "I'm gonna hold on to the railing." I just
See,
don't
you
trust
think about
myself.
falling. I'm thinking about throwing
No, I think
myself
of,
down
like,
the
tipping
stairs.
forward, not even falling. It's just intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, the point is, just remember whose eyes we're looking through. Feyre isn't an unreliable narrator. Like, she's not lying to us on purpose, but there's a lot of perception bias happening. Pain that she's going through, it would narrow your lens. And the story opens through a very narrow, very exhausted, very resentful lens.
And girl makes a lot of
She
assumptions.
really does throughout this book and the entire series, but I'm the same way. We all are. I see parts of myself in all of the sisters. Some of the parts that I love about myself, some of the parts not so much.
We only have a different view of Nesta because, as we'll later learn, thanks to her POV, she is deeply complicated.
Yeah, we just haven't gotten that from Elaine yet, so we don't know her.
And it doesn't suddenly make her behavior that we'll see okay. It doesn't make it easier to stomach or retroactively forgivable, but it does force us as readers, again, to hold a little bit more space for the fact that we don't know what's happening inside her in these early chapters. We don't know what's happening for Elaine. We don't know what the father is actually thinking. We don't know how Feyre is perceived by her family.
Yeah.
So we have what Feyre thinks of them, but how does oop, how does Feyre's behavior seem? Ugh, no, I just resaid the same thing a bunch. What they say, what they see when they look at Feyre.
You might have to start over.
Yeah, that went crazy sideways. We only have a different view of Nesta because, as we'll learn later, thanks to her POV, she is deeply complicated. And that doesn't suddenly make her behavior here okay or easy to stomach or retroactively forgivable.
Yeah, you can understand someone without forgiving them.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I was going to expound upon that more, but I don't want to give any kind of spoiler for anything. Let me start over again.
Yeah.
We only have a different view of Nesta because, as we'll learn later, thanks to her POV, she is deeply complicated.
Yeah, we don't have that for Elaine yet.
Yeah.
We have no idea what she's thinking or feeling.
It doesn't suddenly make her behavior here okay or easy to stomach or retroactively forgivable, but it does force us as readers, again, to hold a little more space for the fact that we don't actually know what's happening inside her in these early chapters.
Yeah, I understand her a lot more after Silver Flames, but it doesn't mean the way she treats Feyre is forgivable.
We also don't know how Feyre is perceived by her family in return, what they see when they look at her, what resentments or guilt or shame that they're carrying.
Even by the end of this book, Nesta feels like a completely different character than the one we meet here, not because Feyre was wrong, but because Feyre was seeing her sister through the lens of hunger, exhaustion, resentment, and survival, because no one is their best self when they're starving or freezing or emotionally holding their entire family together with duct tape and spite. And I'm a Nesta apologist. There is something deeply relatable to me about the feminine urge to let everyone around you die just to prove a point. Like, give me an angry, depressive bitch with daddy issues whose mother was their biggest op, and I will emotionally latch onto her. But even then, for roughly 90% of book one, I wanted to beat Nesta with her shiny ass boots while Feyre's shoes were literally falling apart. And I wanted to shove Elaine's face into her stupid little garden. None of that's fair, but I'm seeing this as Feyre.
Yeah, and the more we hear about their upbringing, Farah's the youngest, and when her mother died, I'm not sure how much love and attention Farah had received before, but the emotional growth becomes even harder if you start neglected and then
Yeah.
terrible things keep happening. So, even wanting to be frustrated with Farah and how she handles the situation, this is not a normal setting. I, as an adult, have all these opinions, but I have a fully formed frontal lobe. There's certain things that have already happened for me. And we have to take that into context when we're reading. Also, in book one, especially the opening chapters, Elena and Nesta were written more as one dimensional evil stepsisters in a Disney movie.
And I think at this point in Feyre's mind, that's exactly what they were. Elaine is this delicate porcelain doll. Nesta's the final boss of emotional damage. And it's really tempting to start comparing them to other women in other books, especially the Massverse. And we're going to stay spoiler free, so I'll be vague. But I think about characters like Elide or Lysandra, women whose trauma forged them into these hyper competent ride or die badasses. But it's not really fair to compare trauma and trauma responses, and they're also not at the same point in their arcs. We are literally meeting Elaine and Nesta on it's a page 1 of this
Hmm.
story. Like, we have to let them cook, even if what they're cooking with is mostly resentment and denial with a garnish of weaponized helplessness that drives you insane.
It's like comparing Adian and Rowan. Yeah, I would hope somebody that's 500 years old is more
Right.
mature than the guy who's been white knuckling his trauma for 2 decades.
Yeah, so we're going to do our best to give these characters grace, especially the ones we don't really know yet, like Elaine, who is basically just a big question mark of a character. Fuck their father, though, respectfully. I can find space for a lot of these characters, but the father
Well,
being part of the ones not helping is just.
the father is the only adult.
Mhm.
Yeah, the girls have grown since all of this started, but the father was the adult the whole time. So it is much harder to not want to come down on him. And it's not to excuse any specific things that he's done, but the father does clearly have some mental health issues, depression, shame, trauma. He's been grieving his identity. Again, you would hope that the welfare of your children would snap you out of it, though.
I think in this house, we acknowledge nuance and drag deadbeat fathers at the same time. We can do both. So, like, I can understand it and then also be pissed by it.
Right. Again, it doesn't excuse it just because you can put a name to it. Feyre and her family have lived in a village 2 days' journey from the border of Prithian, the land of the immortal, cruel, and sexy High
Mm.
Fae, for 8 years.
What's fascinating is how afraid Feyre is of the Fae's cruelty when humans aren't exactly kind either. Because one of the reasons she's out here hunting is because she knows there are already too many poors begging in town, and the wealthier villagers are annoyed by it. At
Mhm.
least the Fae have beauty and whimsy when they're being cruel. Humans are just rude and ugly.
On the surface, what we're introduced to is pretty simple: a girl with a bow tracking a deer.
But beneath that simplicity is everything that defines Feyre: the snow, the isolation, the hunger, the family dynamics, the fear and obligation, but also those small moments of beauty, the way she sees the world through Bob Ross's eyes and finds brief comfort rolling around in the hay, literally with Isaac Hale. This is emotional ground zero. Every choice Feyre makes later, every sacrifice, it all starts here.
Feyre finally spots a deer, one that could feed her family for a week or more. New boots for her, a new cloak for Elaine, therapy for Nesta.
God willing.
But she's not the only one who's clocked the deer.
A golden eyed wolf the size of a pony, which I know is supposed to be terrifying, but I'm picturing like a murderous little Sebastian from Parks and Rec,
Seeing the wolf's size, Feyre almost starts praying and then stops because she doesn't know who to pray to. The gods' names have been lost.
which is so interesting. I mean, it makes sense given how long they've been separated from the Fae that things have been lost. And they also want to move away from anything Fae related. But it's like the mortal side where the gods are forgotten. It's just empty. It's even spiritually empty, it's unprotected, unremarkable. It's like a smudge on the map, almost like they went back to living in the dark ages.
It's so desolate.
And it raises some important questions because in the Massverse, gods don't just disappear. They get trapped, they get sealed somewhere else or colonized somewhere else. So we'll just have to talk about that later. Because it could be a million different things. Like there's so many theories that connect this to all kinds of places, but we just don't know much about these gods.
Well, even what we're learning right now in the first few chapters is what Feyre has been told. So there's no telling how that's been watered down and passed around. There
Mm.
might be so much more going on, but she doesn't know it yet.
And we know that Feyre wasn't exactly taken care of as a child, so she's gonna know even less than other villagers.
Yeah, definitely unclear what sort of instruction she had before everything went to shit. The wolf is unnaturally quiet, almost like it isn't just a wolf, but maybe a fairy.
And Feyre knows that on some level because it's like she immediately registers like this isn't just a wolf, but she doesn't want to know that
Hmm.
because if she lets herself really think about it, she would have to grapple with what that means. And that I'm just not going to think about the problem attitude is something we see in Feyre a lot in this series. But here it's really just I can't afford to worry about whether or not this is a wolf or fairy. It's one of those defining traits of Feyre's that we see from page 1, survival overriding morality.
That said, she doesn't have ethical qualms about killing Fae.
No.
Humans are literally taught as children how to hurt them, iron and ashwood. Fear is passed down generation to generation, which is why Feyre already has an ash arrow carved and ready.
Most of the ash trees were burned by the High Fae, and the few surviving ones were hidden by nobility. And I was wondering why ash wood. And so I was looking into ash trees, ash wood, and I found in Norse mythology, ash trees are sacred. Like there is this, I have no idea how to pronounce it, but it's basically the world tree, the axis that holds the 9 realms together. And across mythologies, ash often represents balance, life and death, morality and eternity. And the Fae are immortal, so something has to balance that. And that we see that in every SJM series, power and magic demand a cost. So I think this is just nature's way of balancing the immortality and the strength and everything the Fae have.
I like that though. It makes more sense to me logically that magic or anything supernatural would require a balance.
Mhm.
It makes it more, not that it's easy to believe, but it makes more sense in a natural aspect. Not even knowing for sure if the ash arrow is real, Farah draws back her bow and fires when the wolf lunges for the deer.
And she says the earth shudders when the arrow hits its mark, like the world itself registers what she's done. But the wolf doesn't immediately die. He just stares at her and doesn't dodge the second arrow, lets it go straight through his eye.
Ooh.
It's violent, but it's also strangely intimate. Like
Yeah.
there's recognition there on both sides. But Feyre doesn't know what she's seeing, if it's intelligence or accusation or relief. So she does what she always does. She emotionally shuts it down and keeps moving. She has to. Like she's had to do that her whole life.
Right. She has to survive right now. I hate that she has to watch him whine and paw at the ground until he dies. I mean, she
I
couldn't,
know.
whether this is a fae or not, if she was to get close, you never get close to an injured animal, but I just wish there was a way she could have made it faster so he didn't suffer.
But she just tells herself, thank God that was definitely just a wolf. Like, I bet nothing crazy happens after this.
She did note that he took longer than normal to die, but okay.
Well, she kind of compartmentalizes things. I think that's what I was trying to think of earlier. It's somehow both a strength and a weakness for Feyre, that ability to not look back, because it's kept her family alive moving forward. But when you move forward without processing feelings and just bury them, it can really come back to bite you in the ass. And it comes back to bite her in the bony ass later when she's just, you know what I'm saying? When she's just
Hmm.
moving forward.
The minute you aren't stressed and pushing forward, these things that you've compartmentalized will creep back up. That arrow is the catalyst. Everything in this series happens because of that one choice.
It's like the original sin, Eve fucking that snake or whatever. And yeah, it might be the year of the snake because I started listening to Kiss of the Basilisk. And I took a break because there was another book that I wanted to start by Stasia Stark, We Who Will Die,
Mm.
which I'm not that far into. But I was like, yeah, I think it makes totals. Isn't it funny how sometimes we start a book and it's like SJM and I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't like I have all these rules and there's like a magic system and then I'll start another book and they're like, so we send the women to learn how to have sex from snake men. And I'm like, yeah,
Obviously.
no, that makes total sense.
How else would they learn?
But once Feyre shoots that arrow, it's like there's no version of her life that would ever stay the same. But it was a choice. It wasn't fate. This was a turning point, like Katniss volunteering or Triss choosing Dauntless or Frodo accepting the ring.
Neo taking the red pill.
Hollander admitting he's gay to the man who's been splitting him in half for the better part of a decade. Every choice, there has to be this choice for the story to move forward.
Right.
Or it would just be the most depressing book about Feyre and her shitty family. You know, every couple of months, there is a screenshot of, it's not this scene. So later on, Feyre has a dream about this. And there's a shadow that's watching or lurking, and people are trying to say that, see, someone was around even then. Someone was maybe even pulling Feyre's tampon strings. What they're actually screenshotting is a dream. It's Feyre reliving that moment. And there is more to that dream that we'll talk about, but it kind of drives me crazy because it's always people who screenshot it and then it's them just like looking off thoughtfully and being like, oh, I didn't realize this person was there from the beginning.
It's potentially taken out of context.
Yes.
Which makes it frustrating. Feyre is not choosing greatness or sacrifice here. She's just choosing dinner.
It is. It's very different from later moments in the series when she knowingly chooses paths that lead to suffering and transformation. That's not what was happening here. It was a choice. And maybe on some subconscious level, she knew it was a bigger moment than just dinner, but it still was her choice.
It was a choice, but I think that her options were pretty limited because whether that wolf was fairy or not, her family needs to eat.
Yeah.
If she does nothing, there goes the deer. Also, she's now a sitting duck for a potential predator. She had to do something to move forward here. She couldn't do nothing. Feyre can also only carry one of the animals.
Can I admit something deeply fucked?
Please do.
Feyre is weak because she is literally starving, and yet my brain, which has been permanently altered by early 2000s media that told us Jessica Simpson and Kate Winslet were fat, I'm like, it keeps talking about how thin she is, and I'm like, ooh. But it's not ooh. This girl's ribs are showing because she's starving to death. She's not just like delicate or ethereal. She's malnourished, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on in my head. Like, I'm gonna have to go back to therapy.
We have to go back and reprogram our brains from that.
Just reading that she's thin is not a good thing.
No. The body hype for millennials when we were coming of age was so unhealthy, and it was never a possibility for me. That's just not my body type. I can't believe that the media was able to get away with that shit either.
Mm-hmm.
Like all this super inappropriate and honestly hateful things that they would say to young women in interviews.
It's like Perez Hilton, that era.
I could spiral about this for days, to be honest. Feyre skins the wolf and begins the miles-long walk back to the cottage, the deer slung across her shoulders.
Miles in snow, in freezing temperatures, carrying enough meat from a magical murder wolf to keep her family that definitely has a group chat without her alive for a week. I can just feel this scene, like how heavy it is. Not just the deer, but the life that Feyre is dragging behind her step by step. Like she's dragging her entire family's continued existence like some Depression-era cryptid.
How much does a deer weigh?
It can weigh hundreds of pounds.
Really? Because
I mean, I don't know the deer. Everything in the mortal world seems to be kind of, I don't know if I would say it's all cursed, but I picture it as like a thin deer, but it would
Right,
still would
maybe.
be at least 100 pounds.
Well, even if it was malnourished because it's winter, it's still, I mean, I don't lift, so me trying to lift something more than 50 pounds is impressive, but
It is impressive that she was able to carry it.
yeah, you just mentioned she's malnourished, and yet somehow she's going to carry this for miles through ice and snow. Very impressive. And when she finally reaches that cabin, she's not met with relief or concern or gratitude.
Before we get to that, before we scream about that, there are engravings on the cabin that a passing charlatan told their father would protect them from the Fae. And yes, let's see immortals get past these Etsy stencil spirals. But my mind also went to word marks, and it could be, especially with the guy claiming he had Fae in his ancestry. But sometimes I think Sarah just has certain phrases and imagery that she likes, like whirls and swirls, like calls to like, watery bowels, like the classics. But I don't know. We have to find the balance between, because I had to do this when I started my reread, because we love theories and we love connections and Easter eggs, but I started going line by line, word for word, looking like, does this mean this? Could this mean that? And like, that's not why I fell in love with this story. You
Right.
know, like I have to balance my red string between everything and my joy of reading. So I think that it could be word marks. And we'll talk about it a little bit in the spoiler section. It could be word marks on their cottage, or it could just be an example of the way that people are profiting from fear of the Fae, like with the iron bracelets that we see the sisters wearing. The real story here is capitalism and keeping receipts.
Elaine asks where Farah got the meat and whether it will take long to clean it.
Feyre has done something dangerous, exhausting, life saving, a full Hunger Games audition, and the response is inconvenience or it's impatience. Not, are you okay? We were worried. Do you need help? No one went looking for her. It was dark by the time Feyre came back. And then you're gonna ask, like, where the fuck do you think I got it, Elaine? Where do you think I got this deer? This is why I struggle with the distribution of Feyre's resentment.
You know, Farah's been hunting and bringing back food for years. Why are you suddenly asking me where I got the meat? I went out hunting. That's where I got it. It's weird to even ask that.
Mhm.
I guess because the game has been moving further and further from their village that maybe she's just happy that Feyre is able to find anything at all.
I just can't imagine. Like, I would like to think in life, I would try to be a Feyre and I would end up being somewhere in the middle of all three of them. I would like to think that I would at least offer to help carry the deer in, to skin it. Like, I would help with those things.
I am very good about feeling defensive on other people's behalf, but I don't know. If this had been my life, I like to hope that I would have tried to at least step up and do something more because Feyre's anger towards Nesta makes sense. I can understand that.
I can too.
Elaine's passivity is just as damaging.
She's older than Feyre. I think sometimes we forget that Feyre is the baby. And Elaine has just opted out completely. It's like Elaine is permanently in airplane mode as a person. And I don't think it's malicious. It's weaponized helplessness. It's like
Mhm.
learned incompetence. It's everyone in this shitty cabin quietly agreeing that Feyre will do all of this so they don't have to.
I mean, Nesta doesn't offer to help skin
No,
the
she
deer.
doesn't.
Neither does Elaine or their father.
Yeah, you can definitely skin a deer without two legs.
As much as I want to get mad at her family, Farah doesn't say no to Elaine. She doesn't say anything to anybody. She doesn't ask more of Elaine. She doesn't ask for help. It's a learned
She does
helplessness.
to Nesta
Oh, about the
some, like with the wood.
yeah.
She just doesn't with Elaine and her father.
It's a learned helplessness maybe for Elaine, but it's also a role that her family seems to have subconsciously assigned to Elaine. She has this sweeter disposition and everybody's kind of put her on a shelf like, "Oh, not sweet baby girl."
Yeah, people always defend her with Elaine didn't know how to do these things. Neither did Feyre.
Mhm.
Feyre learned out of necessity. She didn't pop out of their bitch mother with a hunter's permit.
Necessity doesn't care about your personality type.
Elaine's ignorance is a privilege. All of their ignorance and helplessness, it's privilege built on Feyre's labor. And yes, before anyone warms up their keyboard, this applies to Nesta and their father too. I'm not letting them off the hook, but the fandom has endless smoke for Nesta and suddenly develops a soft Victorian fainting couch for Elaine. And that imbalance has always driven me insane.
None of this situation is fair to any of the characters, and it's
No,
easy to get mad at each character individually for different things that are happening. It's a very tough setting.
it is.
Elaine isn't stupid. She's simply never been required to engage with reality in the same way that Feyre has.
Well, Nesta has rage, Feyre has grit, and I don't know what Elaine has. Compliance? It doesn't feel like the right word, but it's these three responses that were all shaped by the same woman, which is so interesting. Their mother didn't raise three daughters, she curated them.
Mhm.
Nesta was sharpened into a blade. She's cold, precise, meant to cut before anyone can cut her. And Elaine was preserved like fine china, like delicate and valuable if untouched. And Feyre was just ignored, which sounds cruel, and it was. But neglect also gave her something the others didn't have, room. So Feyre wasn't molded, so she adapted. She became useful. It's like their mother, she didn't make Nesta and Elaine useless, but you know what I mean? It's
Right.
like Feyre actually in the long term ended up better
She
without their
had
mother.
different priorities for those girls versus Feyre and different plans for them that she really, if she had plans for Feyre, she passed away before they could really be enacted. Feyre was only 8 when her mother died,
Mhm.
and it's clear that she didn't receive any of the training that her sisters did.
Yeah, she was just kinda like, "You can paint, that might get you a husband."
Their mother was a deeply cold woman who didn't seem to care about her daughters as people, only as extensions of her own status.
That's why when I see some of the theories, and we'll talk about some of the theories in the spoiler section, that the mother was protecting them or told Feyre to take care of the family because she maybe was like a seer and foretold. I'm like, y'all are giving her a lot of credit. What I see is a cold, heartless mother.
You know, I will try to hold space the way that I had thoughts about Nesta before I got her POV. Maybe there's more to it that I don't know, and we're just seeing the after effects. But it seems that their mother was so focused on social climbing and hosting, securing good marriages for Elaine and Nesta that Farah was sort of an afterthought.
Yeah.
And that neglect didn't magically disappear when their wealth did.
Elaine and Nesta were trained for a world that no longer exists, and Feyre was she was forced to adapt to the one in front of her. She's the only one living in reality.
It's painful. Honestly, it's painful to read how much responsibility fell on Farah at such a young age, but it also makes sense how each of them retreats to these roles. They're not arbitrary personality traits. At this point, they're coping
And
mechanisms.
I've also wondered if, in regards to Elaine, are we already seeing the traits that later become something else? Like, I don't know how to say this. Is Elaine unable to fully participate in the world because their mother treated her like a doll, or is this a little foreshadowing? You know what I'm saying?
It's almost
Like, is she already have one foot in this world and one foot in another?
ah, well, yeah. I was thinking you were saying something about maybe not stunting her growth as an individual, but if she didn't give her time to grow and adapt. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
But she is very childlike.
She is. If things were done for her every time, even if she's not intentionally spoiled or selfish, she comes to expect that. And it doesn't occur to her to involve herself because it's always been done for her.
It's pretty
What do you mean?
privilege, really.
It is. Elaine has her moments though, like when she bought Feyre paint to graffiti the cabin.
Yeah, using money that Feyre earned, like, "Here's your Christmas present, I used your credit card." But Feyre treasured it. She painted the cabin. She marked the space as hers as proof that she existed. Like, yes, queen, graffiti your trauma. But Feyre does that a lot because she has this fear of being forgotten.
Yeah. Well, and it's even if it was money that Feyre earned to buy things for her, the thought behind it was meant to
It
show
is
love and
nice,
respect,
yeah.
to find her something to make her happy. The way that Feyre loves to paint, Elaine dreams of gardens.
On the one hand, girl, plant something edible. Plant a potato. I say that as someone who can't keep a succubus alive. Or no, not
Succulent.
succubus. I can absolutely keep a succubus alive.
Oh my God.
What is it?
Succulent.
Succulent. I can't keep a succulent alive. I did that before.
I
What's
love it.
wrong with me? Okay. I want to scream at her to plant. That's like a big thing in this fandom is like, why didn't she grow something edible? But winter is brutal. Like as far as we know, snow is covering the ground. I don't know where she's supposed to plant shit. The land is cursed. Resources are scarce. Like I didn't get the impression even farmers were having luck with crops.
It is hard to say because we're getting this again from a somewhat bitter perspective from Feyre because later in town she does see some wealthy farmers' wives, but what kind of production are they putting together to get anything out of that? At the point where this family is living, they would have to be growing vegetables in their 2-bedroom hut
Well,
to
she
try to
talks
protect
about
it from the weather.
Not Tomas, not Thomas.
Thomas? Thomas, really?
Thomas. Even his family, and he seems to be like a well-off family, they're not doing well. She talks about everyone being skinny. Like, I don't think anyone on this side of the wall is doing well.
They seem to be so remote. They're so far away from things.
God, it just sounds, I picture it basically in black and white. It just sounds so depressing.
They're working with what they've got, but it doesn't sound great. Feyre does mention that same summer with the paint, she gifted Elaine seeds for flowers.
Yeah, they are from Feyre, so.
And it's beautiful. She's doing it to make Elaine happy, but also maybe you could have included some veggie seeds. Again, the potatoes or even edible flowers.
Well, something you said earlier was so smart. It's rare.
Oh, thanks.
Elaine's obsession with beauty is how she keeps herself from breaking.
Elaine daydreams to survive, and Nesta survives on bitchiness.
Nesta thrives on bitchiness, but the problem with that is like, okay, I understand like Nesta has her resenting everyone. Elaine is daydreaming and like barely here. But Feyre didn't get the luxury of disassociation. Like someone had to still go get them food.
It doesn't make anything more or less okay. But if their mother was so cold, how is anybody developing the correct emotions to deal with life? They've been treated
I don't think they did.
Unusually already. And then mom's gone. Dad's not doing anything. They were given the weirdest skills to process anything, and it doesn't.
You can't dance your way out of being poor.
Right.
I mean, I guess you can if you're like famous, but.
Well, in this out of the way village, you can't even flirt your way into a decent marriage to save your family. They're just, I don't know. It's not
just
fair.
Because you're fucking someone in the barn doesn't mean they're going to marry you, apparently.
Right. They're not much better off than you are, and you would just be more mouths to feed. It doesn't make any of the behaviors from Nesta or Elaine or the dad better, but it just, nobody is doing things the best that they could. And I can see, I guess I have space for each one of them where I'm like, ooh, okay, maybe you didn't learn how to do this well and you mean well, but this is not happening. It just, Feyre, maybe because she had less time, as we mentioned before, being trained in a certain way, is able to broaden her horizons, look for other alternatives, ask questions. The delusion seems to be hereditary, though, because their father talks about somehow regaining their wealth while he sits there doing nothing.
Their father believes in a future that never requires him to act in the present, and that pisses me off. Elaine believes in a world that will someday magically be gentle again. Nesta believes in punishment and bitterness. Feyre is the only one living in the now. Feyre is trapped in a story where she gives everything and receives nothing because hope without action is just another burden. Like, I know that the father's always like, let them hope. That's not doing anything for us right now.
It's not great, but also Feyre being so focused on getting through day to day is a form of dissociating that is helping her to push forward. But there's no time to plan for a future or really wallow in your circumstances because there's bigger fish to fry. There's always something big in front of you to get out of the way, get taken care of. The most that she can do to keep from breaking right now is sneaking these uninspiring moments with the most forgettable character ever, Isaac.
He really is so forgettable.
But like, how long can she keep doing that? It would be exhausting to never have a moment to breathe without some burden weighing on you.
Well, but that also later is a problem for Feyre when she doesn't have that. It's like she hates it, but then it's also comforting knowing her place.
Right.
Like, okay, I am my family's provider. I resent them for that, but without it, who am I?
Well, as much as we give her sisters a hard time for falling back into these same roles, whether they're productive or not, this is a role that Feyre, she knows how to handle this role. She knows what to do in this position. And although she might resent it, it keeps her going because she knows it. She's familiar with the next steps and how to handle. But the trauma that I hadn't even thought about for a minute, but watching thugs beat the absolute shit out of your father would be awful.
I mean, that's bad enough on its own, but poor Feyre is the only one who really reacts. She tries to intervene. Then it says she soils herself. And I don't know why I took that as shitting herself, but I guess it's just peeing
I
or
would think
dealer's
so.
choice.
Oh, no
But
telling.
that had to have been what made them stop because it really takes the fun out of beating a man when a child is vomiting nearby. And you know what
Yeah.
happens when I see or hear someone vomit? Remember what came out of that one girl's
Oh,
mouth in
gross.
like 4th grade? What came out of her mouth?
Hot dog.
A whole hot dog.
Why do
It
I'm
rolled.
traumatized by your story.
It rolled down. And then I threw up on the table. And
Oh
then
my
it was
God.
like, that's all anyone remembered. I was like, did anyone else see the hot dog?
No, that's for you.
God.
Oh no, that anything vomit related also triggers me. I can't.
But that's something Feyre, she has some bodily reactions to things.
Mm-hmm. Visceral. Mr. Archeron was left with vicious, twisted wounds around his knee.
Ali did a lot with a fucked ankle, I'm just saying.
Didn't we just say we're not going to compare?
We're not going to compare, but I'm just saying Ali did a lot with her ankle.
Well, it's not a comparison, but when everything happened to a lead as a child, there was a competent adult around
I mean,
to
she
make
couldn't
sure.
read.
Okay, but her basic needs were met.
Yeah.
You know, she wasn't outside of the ankle, she wasn't in any sort of danger. There was meals, there was somewhere safe to sleep. There were things that were taken care of. Mr. Archeron could probably never have been called competent before he was poor.
I don't think so either because the way the story's written, it's like they fell on these hard times and then he began to act this way. And I'm like, no, there had to have been, there was something going on with that business. I'm not sure he was
I
ever a good businessman.
I think there were probably hard times, but he kept making investments that kept their heads above water.
What
But
is it called when you like steal from Peter to pay Paul? You know, like a Ponzi scheme.
oh
To me,
yeah,
it sounded like a Ponzi scheme. I think he had like a pyramid scheme and he had a bunch of people under him.
there's it. We'll get more information because it's a little bit hard to say. But at the same time, he had a whole fleet of servants that would handle all of their basic needs. So he has no idea how to do anything because somebody else always did it. Not that that makes it okay that he's not stepping in, but now that he has no other adults to lean on, when shit hit the fan, I think it really, really made things difficult for him.
You know, maybe Nesta was doing exposure therapy when she was hiding her cane. And I'm sorry, that's so funny. That is hiding someone. That's not okay to do in real life. But Nesta doing that to their father is so funny.
It's little petty things
It
to
is.
just get
That's
back
why
at
I
him.
love her. And yeah, banks probably shouldn't beat you in front of your kids, but it does sound like he owed them money. Two things can be true.
Well, he owed them money, but things outside of his control. Well, okay, he could have made some better decisions.
How did it get that bad to where they're literally coming to beat him up?
I
How do you let it get that bad?
I think we get more information, and it's been a while since I reread, but I think that this was a generational, like his family before him was also merchants.
Generational Ponzi scheme?
Well, like they'd been running this business and they had a good name, and it looked like they had money, but it's because they were always like getting money in one place to cover.
Yeah.
They were never making enough to actually cover their debts.
That
I don't
reminds me
think.
of something else, like a movie or story where it's like generations, it turns out they were actually like hiding how broke they were.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely in Titanic as an example,
Yeah.
because I mean, just
I think that's what I was thinking of.
they have a good name, but they're broke. But they
Mhm.
can use their good name to help get them more to keep going, and then hopefully they can build on that. But it never seems like he got caught up. And then where the money actually left, some of that was outside of his control. So it's a little crazy that the creditors came to attack him. Like, I will
These sound more
try.
like loan sharks or like the mafia.
Yeah, to be so brutal about it, especially in front of your kids. Jeez. The family used what little money they had left to pay a healer, and when even that money ran out, he didn't argue or even stand or look up when Feyre said that she was going into the forest alone to hunt.
He just sits there making his little fuck ass wood figurines. At least make something people use and sell them. Wooden utensils, clogs, like carve some clogs out of the wood for your girls who constantly need new shoes or they want new shoes. Make fake Fey protection charms using whirls and swirls. Teach your daughter how to fucking read. Like, hobbies are great. Like, find your joy where you can. Feyre paints, Elaine has flowers, Nesta glares at people. You have trinkets. But when you're starving, your hobby needs to make money. David Harbour would buy artisanal wooden butt plugs in bulk. Get creative.
Butt
Like,
plugs.
there are
Oh my
so
God.
many things he could be making with his wood and selling. No one wants your weird little figurines.
Well, also, maybe if they were in a bigger town where there's wealthy people that are wasting money on little figurines that don't feed their family, but around here where everybody's just surviving, nobody's going to buy that shit. Just
No.
how are you?
It needs to be useful. Like, think about this. He could be carving wooden, like, vases.
Mhm.
And then Elaine could be growing flowers for the vases. And Feyre could be painting the outside of the wood. Like, this can't be the only option.
He could be building like raised flower beds. There are things that he could do that people actually need to grow. He could do it for their own house to
He
grow some
could do it for
vegetables.
Feyre to not have to carry the deer. Like, there's got to be something he can build to help her, like a sled.
For
Build your
somebody-
daughter a fucking sled.
Well, for somebody whose whole personality and whole livelihood has been merchant, how can you not read the room about what's necessary here? How can you not figure out what would sell and what wouldn't? I thought that's your whole
Even their
everything.
cabin is falling apart, and he's like good with wood, and like everything in there is shitty. Build a new table or something. Build them a new dresser.
Right? Oh, God. Nesta and Elaine immediately begin listing what they'll buy with the money from the deer.
I think this is my cauldron stressed pick because Nesta and Elaine just immediately start adding to their carts, and that would do it for me. That would send me over the edge.
There's a combination of stressed moments with things that Nesta says to Feyre, but even just when Feyre walks in the door with the deer and Elaine's like, "How long will it take you to clean it?" I think that's my it moment for
Yeah.
me. I hope that Feyre is just letting them daydream instead of considering wasting those funds on an unnecessary cape or boots.
Yeah, she looks at Nesta and is like, "You have new boots."
The thing is, to even point this out becomes a whole argument that Feyre is way too tired to deal with right now. It feels like she probably is running in circles with the same conversations over and over again without really getting anywhere. After further insults from Nesta, Feyre feels utterly defeated and retreats to the bedroom that she shares with her sisters.
All three of them, Willy Wonka style, in one bed. You know, as a society, we moved on way too fast from the fact that 4 grandparents were quiet quitting life by hotboxing in one bed.
Ugh.
Like bed rotting. They are the original bed rotters.
Oof,
But they were just freeloading. Like, fuck Grandpa Joe.
I mean, he can't do much, but like just them all being in one bed, I'm like, ooh, it's so unclean.
Well, and you know, you were saying about Feyre's just exhausted, and it's like she doesn't have the mental capacity to do this right now. She's like, I just can't do this. Do you think a part of Feyre not enjoys, that's not the right word, that Feyre likes having that, not control, but
I know what you're saying.
you know what I'm saying? That she's the one that everyone has to go to when they want something. She controls the money, and like, she didn't ask for any of this, but does any part of her like being that person?
I'm sure
Does that make any sense?
Whether she means it maliciously or not, I'm sure there's some, not gotcha moment, but these people shit all over her all the time with the things they say without helping her. And there's a moment of, yeah, but you still need me.
Yeah, being able to be like, no,
Right.
sorry.
I'm sure it gives her a little bit of,
Because I would be holding
strength.
that over everyone's heads.
well, yeah, there's a moment where like,
I'd be insufferable.
you're going to give me attitude and then ask me for the money for something. I would have a hard time not being sassy back to Nesta.
It's not like this at all. But you know when men will tell their wives to quit their jobs. Like, I want you to be a stay-at-home mom.
Uh-huh.
And then they have to go to them and ask for money. And
Mhm.
it's like this weird power play, this weird flex. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't think that's what's happening here at all. But it's like, it sucks for everyone involved. It sucks that Feyre has to earn the money. It would also suck if anytime you ever wanted anything, you had to go ask your sister who actively resents you.
Yeah. Yeah, I it has to give Feyre a little bit of strength back, just not even as a power play, but with how shitty you make me feel about myself, but knowing that I could be self-reliant and you can't. There's still
Yeah.
a moment of, okay, you can beat me down, but I can pull myself back up with these moments. This bedroom is where the sole remnant of their former wealth remains, the ironwood bed that their father gave their mother as a wedding gift.
Can you imagine how unbearable their mother would have been if they were poor while she was alive? Or is the mother the reason they ever had I know that it's a generational merchant thing,
Mhm.
but the timing is suspicious that the mother dies and everything collapses. Like, was she the actual brains behind this prince of merchants? Was she the one who had the more business sense?
I don't well, it's hard to say because we don't know anything about her mother's family. Did her was her dowry really big? Did the mother have money and the dad had a good name that the mother was helping to keep stocked, or did the money eventually run out, or payments from her family eventually ran out when she died? I don't know.
But just imagine her in this little cabin.
Oh, that's a she would be unbearable. On her deathbed, 11 years earlier, their mother made Feyre swear to care for her sisters and father.
Which is either fever-induced nonsense or unsettling clarity. Because it's like she looked at the room and went, "Yeah, this 8-year-old is gonna have to do everything." But then I'm also like, was she like, Nesta and Feyre look alike.
Mhm.
Did she think she was looking at Nesta?
I don't
Was she
know.
just so sick? Or did she really look at Feyre and think, "You're the only one who's gonna be able to do that"? Also, I'm begging you to tell me that they changed the mattress. This is the same bed they're talking about. 3 births, 1 death, the fluids. Like, think about the fluids.
Oh, stop. These are things I'm happy or not. I hope they burned that mattress afterwards.
I don't know, they're poor.
You know what? If it was a decent mattress, though, they sold everything. So if it was decent, it probably was sold with the rest of the
Oh
house.
god, someone's sleeping on that mattress.
Ugh,
Probably
and they
Tomas,
probably
Thomas.
just probably maybe they just flipped it. I bet that the girls
That's
are
what I do. I'm just gonna flip this. It's not my
nothing to see
problem.
here. The girls are probably sleeping on some lumpy hay inside a bag situation.
I would not have survived even like 50 years ago, prior to not even 50, like 20 years ago.
The germs would do you in.
The
Not
germs
even
would
the
do me in.
inability to sleep. Like you'd be done for.
Well, didn't we when we went to I was about to say, didn't we go to London? I know we did. But when we were touring, I don't remember if it was the Tower of London, didn't they used to sleep, like, sitting up? Or was that somewhere else we visited? The bed was really short, and we were like, "Were people really short back then?"
I don't remember what year it was, but there was some old wives' tales about why they needed to be propped up when they slept.
Yeah, that's
I don't know if
crazy.
SIDS was a big thing and they were worried about laying flat would cause you to die. Like, but yeah, I do remember that. There were a lot of them where the beds were tiny because they would sleep sitting up. Or
I would
even
never be able to sleep.
when we did the Jack the Ripper tour, a lot of the the poors, they were sleeping sitting up because there was not enough room, or they were just laying on that rope,
Yes,
which
what
is
was that?
insane.
No, there's a common saying that comes from that, of, like, hanging over the rope. That's where, like, drunk people would sleep. It was literally like you would pay, or they had those little, like, coffin beds.
And some of them, I mean, if you're laying down and you're drunk and the blood's rushing to your head over a certain amount of time, you're gonna die. Like, that's just wild that
Yeah.
that was ever a thing. Just sit on the floor. It's so weird. I'm shoot. This bed and where am I? The only other furniture is a dresser with 3 drawers, one painted with flowers for Elaine, flames for Nesta, and stars for Feyre.
And the flames are allegedly a little Easter egg for a changed plot point that we will discuss later. But I just, poor little Feyre, starving, exhausted, a child, and she's painting these inner worlds on a piece of furniture so so her sisters can feel seen while she feels invisible. I just feel so sorry for her.
She's trying to bring just a little bit of happiness and color and light into this. It's not a dark existence, but it's sad. She's trying to brighten things in whatever way she can. That night, while they eat the venison, Nesta reveals that her friend Claire Better told her
Mhm.
Thomas Mandray, the woodcutter's son, plans to propose to her.
Their father is too busy making absolute heart eyes at Elaine. Why is everyone so obsessed with her? He doesn't ask a single follow-up question, but Feyre's like, I have the time. Thomas's family's also broke, and Feyre does not mince words. Like, she and Nesta do have that in common. Feyre's basically like, no one is lining up to marry you, Nesta. You're a financial burden. And that's like, that might be you projecting a little bit. And while I'd love for you to get married and get out of my face, this feels bad. Like, this is not the way to do it. And it's brutal and it's a cruel delivery, but I do think that Feyre genuinely this comes from a place of care because Feyre has clocked something off about Thomas.
What did you just
about about Tomas. Because she literally, whenever she sees him, she keeps her knife in her hand because there's something off.
Yeah, there's a hungry look in his eyes, something that is unsettling. Also, I've never looked at the name Thomas with an H and been like, Thomas? Like, what?
My brain has always done that.
It's the way they spell it. I want to say Tomas, but
I
I
wanna
think
say
it's just supposed to be
Tomas.
Thomas. The argument is harsh on both sides, and their father doesn't intervene or even notice.
Why would he? This man hasn't intervened in anything. He's not suddenly gonna clock in now. But I don't think that Feyre's trying to crush Nesta's dreams. I think she's scared. I think that she doesn't trust him and that everything she says comes from concern, even if it's wrapped in the most cutting possible language. It's like the way everything Feyre is perceiving is through this exhaustion, and this is concern filtered through that exhaustion too. Feyre's just running on fumes, and
Mhm.
Nesta is Nesta.
Yeah, I think regardless, Pharaoh would probably be a little bit short here because she's so tired. But when it's Nesta, there's not really a point in dancing around a subject. Nesta is abrupt and to the point. So she's going to have some sort of cutting response regardless of what Farah says or how she says it. So you may as well just be abrupt, be straightforward. Nesta responds by striking straight at Farah's deepest insecurity, telling her one day no one will remember her or care that she existed.
Nesta is an emotional sniper. What she hits here, what we talked about earlier, those paintings that Feyre has left around the cabin, they aren't just art and something beautiful in all of this ugliness. They're proof of existence. They're evidence and they're a record that she's here. And there's an inner voice in Feyre that's telling her she's disposable, forgettable, unlovable. And she'll have that voice in her head for a very long time. And it sounds like Nesta.
Their father tells Farah to let Nesta dream, saying hope for a better life is just as necessary as food.
In a better world is a phrase that we've heard in Throne of Glass, and we're going to hear it again. And I love a thematic echo, but also respectfully, maybe be concerned when the daughter who actually leaves the house tells you a man is bad news. Ferris doesn't dislike Thomas just because, like, something is off. Like, trust your daughter's instincts, especially this daughter that feeds you, that's clearly competent.
I mean, respectfully, this dream that you've been living for 8 years hasn't kept us alive. I have. Maybe the dreaming isn't actually as important as food, especially if foolishly living in this dream will get you killed or abused because you won't face reality.
Yeah, he could be potentially like putting Nesta, he's not putting Nesta, but allowing Nesta to be in the situation where she would probably be abused.
If his daughters actually followed his lead and believed any of these things he's saying without being realistic, they could definitely be in danger. And Farah's not going to let that go.
Well, and I think that their father, we will talk about this in the spoiler section, but I think their father has done this more than once.
Mhm. The next morning, Nesta wakes early to chop wood.
Which from Feyre's POV feels very doing the bare minimum to stay on the payroll. Like Feyre is the household's exhausted sugar daddy. Oh, you chopped wood? Incredible. Here's your venison. But we are locked inside Feyre's resentment. We don't actually know Nesta's motivation. Maybe she woke up early out of guilt or shame or pride because there's a lot happening inside Nesta that she would rather die than articulate. So it looks like she's doing the bare minimum, and Feyre resents that. But I'm also like, okay, well, Elaine and your father didn't do anything.
Also that. People don't forget.
People don't forget.
On the way into the market square, Feyre, Nesta, and Elaine run straight into members of the Children of the Blessed.
This would be me. I would be in my blue robe being like, I'm going to be a high fae's bride.
They are fanatical young women and men who worship the High Fae.
I would be there with my bracelet on, telling people the High Fae are hot and misunderstood. You just don't know them.
I mean, some of them probably are.
I also desperately want to know the organizational structure of this little cult. Because is this just humans being horny for immortality? Like, is this an MLM? Hey, bestie, have you heard the good word of crossing the wall? No, you don't come back, but you do probably get a powerful and beautiful husband. Like, who is telling them this?
Right? Who is leading this? They even have uniforms.
That's never a good sign.
There are pale blue robes, tinkling silver bracelets, which is never a good sign. Call your dad, you're in a cult.
Well, what they're wearing reminds me of the priestesses once we go to the other side of the wall, especially one priestess that we will meet later. And I've always wondered if that's a coincidence, or is this like cosplay? Or are there fae on this side of the wall pulling strings? Like, are there fae that are in the business of radicalizing humans? So they have these basically like cattle coming over.
I mean, there could be, because that would be a smart move on the Fae's part, strategizing and having assets everywhere. Nesta tells them the girl they think became a High Lord's wife didn't return because she was eaten, then flashes her iron bracelet.
Can we talk about how Nesta and Elaine have matching bracelets? Matching bracelets that Feyre probably paid for? Out of all the things they're doing that would hurt my feelings, that would probably be number one. Y'all are going to get matching protective bracelets with my money, and you didn't get me one?
I love that you're worried about that. I think Feyre,
I hate feeling left out. I do not like feeling left out, and that would really hurt my feelings.
I think Feyre thinks that it's silly because it will buy you very minimal amount of time, and you won't be able to get away or fight back. So she probably just does it, not for peace of mind, but so the girls will shut up. You know, those girls are probably whining and complaining, and Feyre's like, okay, we'll pretend this works. Just take this and back off.
But at least get me one so we can all match.
Let everybody know I have one. When they reach the square, Feyre notices a scarred, armed woman, a mercenary in her mid to late 20s with short dark hair, tan skin, dark eyes, and an accent that Feyre can't place.
She immediately is like, I respect her. I fear her. I would like to paint her. She has this like mental draw me like one of your French girls moment, but she shoves it down and approaches the mercenary with the wolf and doe hides. And the mercenary is impressed enough to offer to overpay.
But that's not the only reason that she offers more coin. She sees Nesta and Elaine hovering.
I love picturing them just like trying to be nonchalant, but just staring.
They're clearly just standing there watching. The sisters are hovering and watching, and the mercenary wants to do for Feyre what someone once did for her when she needed it most.
This woman, so Feyre is like not really seen by anyone, but this woman clocks her. She's the provider, the protector, the one holding everything together, and it's like, I see you. Meanwhile, Feyre, like, she's offering to overpay because she wants to help for that reason, you know? But Feyre's like, I can throw in some of my dad's wooden butt plugs. Would you like those? And the mercenary's politely like, absolutely not, but thank you.
The mercenary reaches into her large coin purse.
Yeah, she does. It could not be me.
Kate is very proud that her doctor said she's abnormally tight due to extreme anxiety.
Abnormally tight. Living in fight or flight has its perks, even if you're just answering emails all day.
But might be a little loose, though.
Like throwing a hot dog down a hallway. Not really. It's all those wooden butt plugs.
Okay. The mercenary pays Feyre generously, and that heavy coin purse is partly because the territory Feyre lives in is too poor for a standing army, relying instead on the treaty and iron charms and jewelry to keep them safe, while richer territories hire mercenaries like this woman to do their fighting for them.
Like, sorry you're poor, best we can do is a bracelet. Hope the immortals honor a 500-year-old contract. Meanwhile, the wealthy are like, here's a sword lesbian with PTSD. She's going to handle it.
The
Like,
treaty
they could have a standing army if they wanted to. It's like the wealthy are really only taking care of themselves the way that they hoard all of the ash trees.
it makes you wonder how wealthy they really are. In comparison to how Feyre is living, they're pretty wealthy, but
Yeah, but grand scheme, probably not very.
I just have so many follow-up questions about this area.
I know, I'm like, who's really in charge? Or I know that we'll later learn about queens, but why is no one
Why is everything so uncared for?
Yeah,
If these queens exist, who's ruling what and why?
yeah.
The treaty was signed by the Fae and the humans 500 years ago after millennia of humans being enslaved by the High Fae. Humans built their cities and temples, then eventually rebelled. The war was so destructive that it took 6 mortal queens crafting the treaty for the bloodshed to end and the wall to be built.
Everything north of the wall went to the Fae, magic, beauty, immortality, whimsy. Everything south went to the humans, depression, generational trauma, a clean, even split, totally fair.
But the mercenary thinks the Fae are planning something, that the High Lord's leashes on their beasts are slipping and have been for the past 50 years or so.
Which immediately sets off alarm bells because anytime someone says nothing's happened yet, but it feels wrong, they are never wrong, especially when that someone drives a Subaru. Trust them. She also mentions a rumor a pack of Martaxes have crossed the wall and they're tearing through villages.
Martaxes have bodies as big as bears, heads like lions, and 3 rows of teeth sharper than sharks.
What is that? I can't even picture that. That's a lot of animals.
The 3 rows of teeth, I'm having a hard time visualizing that. I'm just seeing like the face of the
Demogorgon?
worm from or a Demogorgon
Or, yeah, the worm.
from Dune. The mercenary says that she was attacked, though not by a Martax, by a fairy, one whose bite was poisoned. She shows Feyre the scars on her forearm and leg, black veins spiderwebbing beneath the skin.
That is horrifying.
Yeah.
But Feyre's brain goes, I recognize this, and then it just cuts off. And I'm pretty sure she's thinking of her father because this woman didn't just get hurt. She worked for months to be able to walk again. And now this mercenary is standing here scarred, alive, working as a mercenary with injuries that sound worse than her father's. And that I think that's what that part was about. There's like this contrast that felt intentional.
To me, it's laying out the different paths after suffering. You can
Yeah.
be this mercenary, broken, rebuilt. You can be Feyre, forced to grow up and figure out what to do because nobody else will. Or you can be Nesta, Elaine, and their father and just stop.
Yeah, pain can either sharpen you or paralyze you. And we see all the different responses, all the different trauma responses in this series. And we will be talking about the mercenary and a certain theory that refuses to die in the spoiler section.
Nesta grabs Feyre and yanks her away from the mercenary, hissing that they're dangerous.
Notice she waited until after the money was exchanged. Like, don't talk to strangers in flannel, but also get the bag first.
But to be fair, Nesta does have a legit reason to fear mercenaries. One of them robbed her and Elaine before.
And when Feyre's like, why didn't you tell me? Nesta snaps back with something along the lines of, what would you have done? Resented them to death? And the thing with Nesta is there's always a small kernel of care. It's just buried under 12 layers of loathing and self-hatred and rage and being just deeply unpleasant to interact with, or I'm projecting, hard to say. But it's like sometimes if you really have to sit with the things that Nesta said to be like, I can see in this that she actually cares. She just said it in the worst way possible.
It's wild that these 3 sisters literally share a bed and try to survive together and nobody can communicate.
They really do not
They
communicate.
have these individual walls up, even like amongst each other. These are your people you should be able to trust. You're keeping each other alive, or at least one of you is. And they still all have walls up. They don't trust each other, it seems. It's just watching the way that things are said and could have been said differently. They seem almost like strangers in their approach to each other.
Yeah.
Feyre asks if Nesta told Thomas Mandray about her mercenary. Nesta just smiles sweetly and tells her her friend is waiting.
Which is when Faye returns and finds Isaac Hale giving her barnroom eyes.
Feyre hasn't actually caught feelings for Isaac.
I, for one, am grateful for Isaac's existence because I'm so tired of the I've never been touched by a man trope. Feyre's had sex. I appreciate that. Honestly, Her body count is higher than mine was at 19. I still had my Jonas Brothers purity ring on singing Our God is an Awesome God. So good for you, Feyre.
Good for you, Feyre.
She's finding little pieces of happiness, little joys where she can.
Good for her. Feyre goes to Isaac to feel less alone, to just feel. It's so relatable.
It is. It's like, this is the only thing that's just Feyre's. Like her existing out of the crushing responsibility of keeping everyone alive. But there is a sting when he mentions he'll be married soon. If you're paying any attention to me personally, I'll fall in love with you.
Yep.
Let alone I'm still picking hay out of my bush and you're soft launching a marriage to someone else.
Yeah.
That would sting.
That would be very hard. I don't know. Maybe I was always so boy crazy growing up that I was eager for any attention.
We know what you were like on the band bus.
Thank you. Just putting that out there. I would also have been in love with him a long time ago. That night, after Elaine and Nesta spend basically every penny that Feyre gave them, the family eats another dinner of venison and sits around the fire.
I do give Elaine 1 point here because she bought a new chisel for their father, which shows some awareness, minimal but present. Like the bar's on the ground, but she did technically step over it. It would be nicer if she either spent the money on Feyre or, hey, let's just not spend every dime we have every time Feyre kills something. You know, it's like they always immediately spend all the money. Like, let's get a savings account.
Right.
Let's start to save some money.
It's like having a little sweet treat. Everybody was celebrating.
I do need a little sweet treat a day. So
it is sweet to have a little pick me up. And the thought behind it for Elaine, it is sweet. She's trying to be considerate and think of others. But yeah, there's a moment of reality where you're thinking this could have been used better. But before Feyre can launch into a full Thomas Mandre TED Talk, the door bursts open and a beast as large as a horse with a wolfish head, curled elk-like horns and talons roars a single word, murderers.
Like, what an entrance. I don't know if the tears would be coming from my eyes because that's terrifying or down my legs because SJM knew exactly what she was doing with an audience of women whose sexual awakening was the beast, not the prince, the beast from Beauty and the Beast, and Goliath from Gargoyles. Remember the Gargoyles cartoon?
Yeah, Goliath, the man that you are.
Protective, jawline, leader, thighs.
Leaves me alone for 12 hours away because he's made of stone.
My life sucks, and now I'm being kidnapped by a beast? Does he have a library? Like, I'm already packing my granny panties before his nails even click-clack inside my door. Like, do they even have plumbing on the mortal side? Is this an outhouse?
Ew.
Like, you know, no one would be helping her with the outhouse, like, to empty it. Like, cowboy, take me away from this living situation.
Ugh, there's so many things it's like I don't want to think about that, but now I'm just, ew, it has to be an outhouse. Like, what else are you going to do? It's always been hard for me to picture Tamlin in this form, even with the fan art.
I know. I've looked at a lot of fan art, and I'm like, what do you mean his horns are curled? That's so cute.
I mean, I'm imagining ram's horns, but the body is somewhat feline with a wolfish head, and I cannot marry those two creatures. I don't know.
Does his beast form, like, we'll learn more about High Lords and forms and whatever, but I can't tell if this is Tamlin's, like, he's just choosing to, why would you shapeshift into so many, like, just choose an animal.
Right. Why is there a combination of different creatures? But more than that, I would probably be struck mute by the fact that this literal beast is speaking to me.
Do you think his mouth moves when he's talking?
I guess so.
Or does it just open and a voice comes out?
I don't know. We had the same issue when we talked about Crescent City creatures.
No.
I don't know.
If Tamlin's beast form is at least part wolf, do you think he's capable of nodding?
Hello. New interest unlocked. How have I not thought of that before?
Oh my God. I mean, not that we're fucking his beast form yet.
But like, if you can shapeshift, can you shapeshift?
Can you shapeshift?
Can you shift in parts?
No,
Could part of you just shift?
I'm very into nodding these days. Very into
This could be the year of the wolf, and
it is the year of the wolf.
Need to know more.
Well, I think it didn't start with Bride by Allie Hazelwood, but that certainly
it certainly helped.
Oof.
Gosh, when we were doing the Deliciously Dark Fairy Tales from KF
yes,
Brain,
that one too.
Oh God, when those wolves were nodding for like hours, I was like, Stop it, don't
It
stop.
sounds amazing in theory. I'm like, what are we going to do for an hour while you're stuck inside me? But if I don't think about that part, it's very sexy.
Well, like, I guess if you could stay hard and we could keep going and make it fun for me, because otherwise we're just sitting and staring at each other until your
Can
dick
you
calms down.
like, I'd have to look at my phone.
What and who is seeing us? That's a whole other side problem. Just like when the men came to collect their father's debt, it's Feyre who steps between her family and the threat.
Yes, this malnourished 19-year-old with a bow is once again the only line of defense.
To be fair, she's probably the only person in this hovel who's ever killed a living creature, so I guess she would stand the best chance of protecting them.
Well, their father is behind her like, please. That is deeply unattractive.
Mhm.
And Elaine is screaming, we didn't do anything. And Nesta snaps at her to shut up, which is very, to me, I took it as we're not snitching on our sister in front of the Fae police. Like, thank you.
It's good that you took it that way because I hadn't thought of it. To me, it was more like Nesta telling Elaine to shut up so they wouldn't be noticed in front of this beast. Like,
we always have such different reads on Nesta. It's so funny. I always see the best to a delusional point, and you're probably more realistic.
well, you're probably not wrong though, because Nesta has moments of caring. They're hidden behind her snark and sass, so you can't tell for sure. But also, Nesta and Feyre have always agreed that they would protect Elaine first. So some of it could simply be Nesta trying to keep Elaine out of the beast's attention.
They
just to keep him
really
distracted.
always do put Elaine's like oxygen mask on first.
Mm-hmm. The beast demands to know who killed him. Who killed the wolf?
Feyre goes into lawyer mode. If a wolf were killed, not saying it was, what could we do? Could we offer you some handcrafted wooden butt plugs, perhaps? But there's only one payment the beast will accept, the one demanded by the capital T treaty, a life for a life. I'd be like, here, take our father.
Here's one. The beast correctly guesses that Feyre knew the wolf was a fairy, or at least considered the possibility, and didn't care. He sees the hate in her ice-cold heart for his kind.
And Feyre, unwell queen that she is, has the fleeting thought of what those fangs would feel like on her throat.
Not in a horny way, in a if I die first, maybe my sisters get out way, because Feyre's default setting is martyrdom, but like, what else does she have going on?
She tells him, like, let's do it outside. Everyone knows wet work is best done in the outdoors. But her reaction clearly throws the beast. He didn't expect her to be like, okay, yeah, let's wrap this up, when this that they need to wrap up is him killing her. That's what she thinks it is. But Feyre's life is a piping bag full of shit that the Lord keeps stomping on. So she's basically like, let's get this over with. We're just rearranging chairs on the deck of the Titanic at this point.
A diabolical statement, wow. But instead of killing her, he gives her a choice: death or life across the wall in fairylands.
Which is surprisingly generous. It's suspiciously generous, considering Feyre murdered, skinned, and sold his friend and justified it as deserved. She should be a little more, like, she's in survival mode, so her mind is always like, how do I get away? How do I escape? But it really should be like, what's going on here?
Feyre's worldview is very small. She hasn't had a lot
and
of
it's
experience.
not her fault, but it is very small.
It wouldn't have occurred to her that she should be more suspicious, but girl, you should be more suspicious. Feyre's father finally pipes up, offering to get gold. Bro, if you could have gotten gold this whole time, what are we doing here?
That pisses me off so much.
Which Feyre immediately shuts down because she cannot stomach the image of him begging in the streets.
In her head, she's already planning to find a loophole or escape. Here's some things I definitely know. Faye can't lie. They hate iron. So I'll go with him, slit his thick neck the first chance I get, and then I'll run. Very short-sighted, very on brand for her. Because, like, where are you going to run? You come back here, he knows where you live.
Also, I love that she's going to take on a Faye like she's a match for him. Like, okay.
I know. She's like, well, I have this dinner knife.
That's been sharpened never. I can do it. Instead of emotional goodbyes, Feyre gives instructions. Venison will last 2 weeks.
That's what Feyre is leaving behind. Slim Jims, like the world's saddest Horcrux. And she adds, when spring comes, ask Isaac Hale to teach you how to make snares. And I assume that means butt stuff in the hay. But you know, none of them are going to, I guess Nesta would. I guess it would have to be Nesta.
Nesta definitely could, but I doubt Nesta would ask for help. She'd rather starve first. But also, the most important thing, she looks at Nesta and says, Do not marry Thomas Mandray. His father beats his wife. The sons do nothing. Bruises are harder to hide than poverty.
That is a line that, like, just makes me sit there. Like, I have to, like, think about that line.
Mhm.
But would it have killed Nesta or Elaine to say anything in this moment? Like a hug, a thank you, a single human emotion other than self preservation?
Well,
They just kind of all watch her go.
they're definitely not about to step in to take her place. Like,
No.
thanks. As Feyre leaves, her father grabs her arm and says, "You were always too good for here, too good for us, too good for everyone. Never come back."
Look who's the newly appointed union rep of shitty dads. Now you have an opinion and a voice. But also, if I'm Nesta or Elaine, I am absolutely side eyeing. She's too good for who? Like, you were always too good for this? Oh. But Feyre takes it as a dig. She takes it as, we can survive without you, don't come back. And there's a similar moment later in the book where she's told something like this, and she sees it as the blessing or favor that it is. So it's really all perspective. It's really all like Feyre just has that insecurity of being insignificant and forgotten.
Well, in this exact moment, nobody has ever stepped up to help her. And if you hear that we could have always survived, we just let you do the work, it just feels like another nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
It it's sad. It's really hurtful and sad as your last words to each other. Feyre follows the beast out of the cabin and toward a waiting white horse.
It's so fairy tale that, like, not that it's a night right now, but him kind of saving the maiden from her shitty life on a literal white horse. I also cannot stop picturing, so he motions for her, but he has a paw. So he can't, like, crook his finger. He's like a full paw. Just, like, add that to the ick list. Also, important logistical question. Is Tamlin's beast wearing clothes right now, or is he just dick out, screaming about murder? Because Nesta, Elaine, and their father, they're crouching down in fear. They would be eye level with it. Like, have you ever looked one directly in the eye?
Gross.
Is he wearing pants?
That makes it weirder if he's wearing pants.
Him wearing pants would be so cute.
Well, she doesn't know that he can shift into anything until later, so I'm guessing there's no clothing on him because that it just if he's actually talking and his mouth is moving and then he's motioning with his paw,
It's
becomes
cartoonish.
right, it's comical now.
It's
But
not
also,
scary anymore.
I guess maybe it's when they mentioned him having like a wolf-like head. I envisioned him with longer hair, kind of like Beauty and the Beast, or sorry, Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Or like,
Like
the
it's
long
covering him.
wiry fur of a wolf. So I really hope it's not in your face because I really wouldn't know what to do with that situation.
I would be looking anywhere but at it.
I would not be able to take him seriously because, yeah, it would be looking at
Can
me.
you put some pants on? Also, if his mouth is open and the voice is just coming out, like all of it together.
Can you just turn around? Feyre climbs into the saddle and the beast leads them north toward the invisible wall separating human lands from Prithian.
The way I would not even look back. I wouldn't even glance. I'd be like, good luck with the deer meat. See you never, losers. But Feyre in this moment, I understand she doesn't know what's waiting for her. It's objectively terrifying. She was just kidnapped. But it is like when Saris wakes up in Yavalia and is like, oh my God, I have to get back to my useless brother Hayden in the place where I have to steal water that's being rationed by an evil queen. Like, these people are always trying to get back to the worst situations.
It's kind of crazy. Feyre, you were literally okay with dying a second ago. So why are you worried? Honestly, this is a new adventure. Let's just see what comes. If you were willing to die a second ago, this can't be any worse. It'll be fine. Feyre doesn't know the true history of the war that led to the treaty. She believes the High Fae were betrayed by one of their own.
And that's technically not wrong, but it's just incomplete. It's like the way something is true when you only read the tweet and not the replies. Like, she just doesn't have the full story.
She only knows the cliff notes that have been passed around by word of mouth. As they ride, Feyre's thoughts spiral.
She's oscillating between finally they'll appreciate everything I did for them, about time, and oh my God, my father and his fucked leg are gonna have to be begging on the streets. I don't even like that man, and that image, it does hurt. And then she's thinking about Nesta, like, what will she do to keep Elaine alive? And she knows that answer. She knows that Nesta will do anything, and that scares her. Notice, though, no one's like, what will Elaine do? But, it's like, I don't even like their father, but the thought of him begging on the street with his ruined leg, that makes me want to cry.
Well, not me.
Really?
You let your child, literal child, go out into the woods to hunt. The least you could do is
you're
beg.
right. You're right.
But also, he wouldn't get anything because there's other beggars and nobody cares. It would just make them laughed at even further. I do think it's interesting that she worries about what Nesta would do. I was like, Nesta can't learn to hunt like you did?
Well, I took it as like prostitution.
Exactly. It's interesting that she thinks that's the choice Nesta would make instead of trying to find food. I don't know that you could
Yeah,
really...
that is an interesting like
How are you
leap
gonna...
for her to make, that the only thing Nesta could possibly sell, or
If you know all of the villagers and they're not great and there's not much money to go around, who are you prostituting to?
yeah, I don't know how she would open up like a small business like
Are
that.
you trading services for potatoes? Like, I have so many...
God, can you imagine how
follow-up
depressing
questions.
that would be? Just like blowing a guy and then he hands you a potato.
You're like, thanks, I can eat. It's
I'm a
terrible,
baked
and it's very
potato.
sad that people would potentially be forced to make those choices. But it's interesting again that Feyre thinks that'd be the first thing
Yeah, I
she'd
never
do.
really thought about that.
She even told her, go talk to Isaac. He'll teach you how to like make snares for rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
You have venison. There's things that could be done here, and who knows? It's interesting. But she does what any of us would do to try to stop the spiral. Feyre interrupts her intrusive thoughts and tries to make small talk.
She asked, what kind of fairy? Fairy! She asked what kind of... God, the name Feyre messes me up so much. What kind of fairy he is. His name. Literally anything. He just knocks her out with magic. Like, a man will do anything to avoid answering questions. Also, I have to say, we have this running gag where we'll be like, ladies, Kenneth, I have to add Pablo to that list. So now when we're like, ladies, Kenneth, Pablo, that's our introduction.
I love that for us. Feyre doesn't wake until they reach a beautiful estate.
The magical sleep is very classic fairy tale.
It's also the first time Feyre experiences magic, and she notices a metallic tang in the air.
It makes sense that humans would experience magic as something sharp or unpleasant, like a built-in warning system, like your body going, hey, this isn't for us. Kind of like how we have uncanny valley, and it's like something is off. It's like we have, or when we jerk awake and they say it's because we used to like sleep in trees. But I also have a logistical follow-up. Do you think Tamlin shits in his beast form?
Yes.
Because they were just traveling for 2 days. Like, me, nothing's... You know what happens when I travel. Nothing's moving. But it's also funny. Like, now that I was turned on by Tamlin's beast form, and now I'm like, ugh.
I
Him
love
just squatting off to the side.
He's probably lifting his leg. I love that bothers you. Of course he's shitting and peeing in his beast form. It's so much easier to do your business when you don't have to stop and like wipe and clean up or anything. Like,
oh my God, he's not... He probably has... I'm not gonna say it. Who's cleaning him?
Ew, it's about to go places.
Lucian.
Ew. He has magic. He's clean. It's fine. Let's just not even... I don't even want to know. The beast leads Feyre to a beautiful alabaster estate covered in roses and ivy, surrounded by rolling green land, flowers, and sunlight.
It's very Wizard of Oz, like the black and white misery of her existence to this full Technicolor fantasy. And of course, Feyre's first thought is painting.
Of course.
This girl could walk into a war zone, a haunted forest, a fairy murder mansion, and be like, you know what? The lighting is incredible. I love that, though. I love that about her. I will make jokes about it, but I actually think it's a really interesting... And SJM actually does that, now I'm thinking about it, with all of her FMCs. They all have, like, Aelin loved music, and Bryce has dance.
They're artistic, but they're also extremely perceptive. It really, honestly, as much as we joke, it keeps her rooted in the moment. She's very aware of her surroundings. Yes, also being able to see the beauty in something tragic or horrific kind of helps you to process and deal in some form, even if it's not...
like how she processes things.
It's really... Art is like her version of I will not be afraid, or you do not yield,
or
from
what
Throne
is
of
it
Glass.
that Danica said?
Light it up.
Light it up.
Why'd that come out so country when I said
Light it up. Well, that's the audiobook. She had an interesting way of saying
The
it.
girl that does the audiobook, each one of these SJM books, it's funny when you said Feyre earlier in Throne of Glass, when she would talk about the little folk, she would say the Fairies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she would say fairy
Interesting.
and then specifically Feyre. So I was
That's
like, yeah,
funny.
that makes sense. It also sounds like this is an unbelievably
Oh
gorgeous
my god, the
place.
spring court is for me.
But
I mean, I have allergies. I have that in common with a certain character we'll meet, and I'll have to take Claritin D every single day, but it sounds like the weather is perfect,
it's
all the
beautiful. Oh my
flowers.
gosh, I love flowers. I won't take care of them. I can't grow them, but I love the fake ones and how it
I
looks.
can't even keep a succubus alive.
I love no succubus for you. I love the aesthetics. It sounds gorgeous. I would have been sat. I would have been so distracted. What problems? My life is great
I'm
now.
on a white horse being led into this. Yeah, I'm not even thinking about my family.
I mean, it's just so beautiful. How could I be upset here? But obviously, you can't trust something that is this pretty that doesn't even seem real
It
without,
is
again,
beautiful but dangerous, like that opening scene.
we talked about the balance. There's no balance here when you have all this bleakness that you just came from, and suddenly you have this much beauty and everything seems healthy and verdant. I personally think it would give me pause
I would
before,
assume that I was going insane.
well,
Like,
just, yeah.
I always assume that.
I'd assume I stepped into another realm, not just
Yeah.
crossed a wall. This is not the world I know. But Feyre is still looking for exits. She's counting steps. She's still thinking that she's going to get out of here by escaping.
She's doing that instead of seeing this for the escape that it is. She's looking for an escape instead of looking at this path in front of her and seeing it as an escape.
I guess maybe that's a good thing. I just said I would be totally distracted by how beautiful it is. So she's at least not letting that overcome her.
And not that she knows that he can shapeshift, but I would already be like, so I'm going to marry him and this is going to be my house.
I mean, if I get to stay here, that's not the worst prison I've ever seen.
No.
Feyre nearly collapses when she gets off the horse.
Because she hasn't eaten for 2 days. And did he just magic her bladder? Because 2 days on a horse, no pee break, that's my personal circle of hell. Like, what is the magic is so interesting.
Inside, the house is even more opulent. Black and white checkered marble floors.
Is that kind of tacky?
No, it's giving me really old,
Old money.
it's like 1920s Gilded Age
Ooh,
glam.
yeah, okay.
Long,
I was picturing more like if you go on Zillow, I don't know if it's sold yet, but the guy who is like Mr. Vegas, what is his name? He plays all the shows in Vegas, and his house is for sale. Wayne Newton.
oh,
I looked at Wayne Newton's house on Zillow for some reason, and he had these terrible black and white floors, and it had like his initials everywhere.
Oh, so
And I was like, ugh.
we've made this tacky because it's all about you. Okay, that's different. Well, these I'm assuming are very grand and timeless. They're marble. Like, how could it look bad? There's also long hallways, glass doors, this grand staircase.
It's the kind of place where you immediately feel underdressed, underfed, just underqualified to exist.
I mean, if I'm Feyre, my first thought when I step in is, when did I last bathe?
Yeah, they never talked about the bathing situation. Are they going to a river? Is Feyre having to bring water back?
I mean, we don't even know if there's any sort of bathroom, so I doubt
No.
there's a tub.
It's like when in old sitcoms, they never address bathrooms. You never see the bathroom. It's not like a thing that's talked about.
We just don't want to know. But more than that, where do I fit here? This doesn't look
Right.
like somewhere where I belong.
I know, I'd be like, I guess I'm on the way to the dungeon. Where's that?
I'd be a little panicked. Feyre follows the beast's growls to a long table laid out with food and wine.
And immediately freezes because humans are raised to never eat fairy food or drink fairy wine, which is classic Fae lore, that if you eat or drink, you can never go back to the mortal world. That is, when we learn the beast's name, that's something that comes from that story. And also Folk of the Air. They had fairy fruit, and that basically made you mindless. Like, I remember there's a scene where Jude is choking, but she feels happy, like she feels joy, which I think we should deep dive that series. I did really like the first book is Cruel Prince, and it's not spicy, but I love how classic fairy it was.
I did really like that. It was a little spicy. It just wasn't detailed in the way that we would love for it to be.
His little tuft of fur on his tail.
It's kind of, I don't know, new adult instead of YA.
Yeah.
But there was also so much tension and enemies to lovers.
There was a lot of yearning, but also like hate yearning.
Yeah. It's good. It's a fun read. We'll have to add that to the list. There is a flash of light and the beast is gone. In his place stands a golden-haired high fae male with delicately pointed ears and a broad chest.
We have a golden-haired shapeshifter with green eyes.
Interesting. His face is young and a golden mask covers his nose, cheeks, and brow.
And Feyre's like, oh. Now instead of a murder bear, we have a hot stranger with a commitment to accessories. Like Masker clearly having a moment. She's like, we just don't get Fae Vogue on the human side. I just didn't know.
Obviously. Feyre also notes that he's dressed like a warrior and speeds up her plan to escape. This situation is even more dangerous than she realized.
Her plan to escape, it like escalated. Mine would de-escalate seeing him.
Right.
I'd be like, oh, shit just got way better.
How can we manipulate and adjust this situation? But she is focused on that family. He told her that the food is safe to eat and he's not her jailer. She can live anywhere in Prithian. But Feyre thinks that would just make her prey to some other Fae and she has to escape because she has to get back to her family. Whoa. I know. Another high fae male enters.
Oh my God.
Red
hair.
A
hot new bombshell has entered the villa.
Red hair, fine clothes, fox mask, one warm brown russet eye, and one of gold. A scar running from brow to jaw.
And Feyre, bless her heart, she immediately assigns emotional logic to the mask. Like, okay, Fox Mask has trauma, so Gold Mask is doing it out of solidarity. I think this is my hashtag Cauldron Blessed winner because it's so funny that Feyre thinks that Tamlin is wearing an emotional support mask.
I do.
I think that's so funny.
It's funny that that's where her mind went emotionally. You're like, okay.
She's like, that. You know what? That's actually so nice that he's doing that for his friend.
I guess that's it. The red-haired male introduces himself as Lucian, a courtier and emissary.
Translation, I'm the one who actually talks to people, and I'm sure you can see why that's necessary.
Lucian is shocked to hear that Feyre killed Andrus and starts to say maybe there's a way to, before he's cut off and she's handed off to Alice.
Who Feyre describes as rotund, which feels aggressive. Like the day someone describes me as rotund will be my last day on Earth. But Alice is wearing a bird mask. And you're like, okay, there might be something more to the mask.
That's a lot of masks. At least Feyre is being sent to a room, not a cell.
Did you say it's Andrus? Andrus.
I don't know. I said Andrus.
My brain has been saying Andreas. I know that's not right. But now I'm picturing him as like a sexy, like an Antonio Banderas.
Andrus. You know what? I could have said it wrong. I don't know.
No, I trust you.
It wouldn't be the first time I've said one of SJM's names wrong.
Eulamus?
I was thinking of Elodie.
We missed Eulamus. Happy Eulamus to everyone who celebrated.
As they walk off, Feyre can hear Lucian's fully spiraling in the background.
They never should have sent Andrus. What do you mean sent? Sent why? Sent how many? And maybe they should take a stand, dump the girl, kill her, do literally anything, kill her.
Ooh.
Like the vibe immediately shifted from courtly hospitality to HR escorting you out.
He's cut off by the golden-haired Fae who says not until they know for certain there's no other way. For now, the girl is off limits.
And then just to really add a cherry on top of this shit Sunday, he adds, her life in that hovel was bad enough. Like, okay, I'm sorry your emotional support wolf died, but you did outsource him and it felt like entrapment to begin with.
Alice leads Feyre to a lavish bedroom on the second floor with pale green walls sketched with patterns of gold.
That sounds gorgeous. I love, like, my goal in life is to one day have the kind of money where you can have, like, painted wallpaper.
Oh my
like
God,
in Sharp Objects.
It just sounds beautiful and elegant.
Yeah.
And there are two other servants there that bathe her, cut her hair, and pluck her.
They would be like, get the weed whacker if they saw me. Like that scene in 40-Year-Old Virgin. We're going to need more wax.
It is weird that they took a moment to pluck.
Yeah,
I'm
what
assuming
are you plucking?
eyebrows, but that's okay.
If they're plucking something else, we're going to be here for a while.
Alice places a velvet turquoise dress on the bed and Feyre pleads for her old clothes to be returned. Alice explains that what's left of Feyre's pants literally disintegrated when they tried to wash them.
That is deeply humbling. Like, imagine your poverty being so loud that it can't survive soap.
Eek. Alice leaves and returns with pants and a tunic.
Nasty with a Poochie outfit. Sometimes I forget you're not chronically online, but Alabama Barker, I don't know why I'm even talking about this. She she did like a Christmas haul on TikTok and she had these heels and she's like nasty with a Poochie outfit. And that's my current like verbal stem. It's just something I keep saying. I can't help it.
Okay.
I personally would have been in that dress immediately, doing a full Sound of Music spin in front of the mirror, but Feyre is still in fight or flight. She's thinking, I need mobility, I need stabability, I need to be able to fight.
I do feel bad that I also would have seen this house of luxury, all the food before me, the beautiful men, and been like, you know what? My dad said they can survive. They'll be fine.
Hey, he said to not look back, and I think you should listen to your father.
Right. And then I feel bad. I'm like, oh, maybe I should care more. But Farah's making me look bad because she's still thinking of her family.
Well, she's a martyr, and we're not.
At least she does get this brief moment of calm. Colors, the beauty, the softness of the room, like a muscle memory from before everything collapsed. And then her brain immediately slams the emergency alarm. Family, venison, the Vecna clock counting down to your family's starvation.
She'll get this close to peace, and then her trauma's like, absolutely not. But and this is no spoilers for Stranger Things because I have not watched the final season. I had to do a rewatch. But can I just say, Vecna, or specifically Henry or Mr. Whatsit, is now, I think they're on my hear me out list. Like if I were being chased, Vecna, I'd be like, oh no, Henry, this isn't you.
I have not been able to watch. I've seen season 4, but it's been so long. I was trying to rewatch everything to get back to it. And then Heated Rivalry completely derailed my rewatch.
It's just so jarring seeing them as adults.
Mm-hmm.
When there were so many years between each season that it just, I don't know.
Well,
it like killed the momentum for me.
That's how the characters are immortalized.
Yeah.
You know, they're children.
Well, I'm rewatching it with my boyfriend, and it's so funny. Like I am trying to like pick up on Easter eggs or clues, and he'll be like, whatever happened to, God, what did he say? He didn't say Barb, but he said a name that sounded vaguely like Barb. And I was like, well, she's been dead since season 1. So
oh no.
You know what I'm saying? Something like I wish I could be more of a vibe watcher. And I'm not. Like I'm like staring at the screen. It kind of sucks. Like I kind of take the joy out of watching and reading things, but I can't turn my brain off of that.
Well, while Alice is braiding her hair, she warns Feyre to keep her mouth shut and her ears open, that even her own senses might betray her.
Translation, everyone here is lying, including your instincts, which is terrifying. Because I'm like, what do you mean I can't trust anything I see or hear?
It feels like that should be canon when you think of the Fae, though. If they spent this many years worrying about the Fae, it would seem one of the first things you hear is that they're beautiful but spiteful, or, just things are never what they appear. But also reminder, not everybody here is thrilled that you killed their friend.
She's actually very lucky that she hasn't been they didn't just beat the shit out of her on the spot.
And Feyre is paying attention and she's worried. She's not out there like me, just mindlessly looking at the pretty things around her. But I do kind of appreciate that Alice is taking a moment to give her some words of warning.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a reminder. People aren't thrilled, so maybe don't make eye contact and keep your head down.
No problem. I never know which eye to look into when I'm talking to people anyway, and I will keep my head down right between Lucian's thick thighs.
Oh,
I think that Feyre really slept on Lucian.
They both sound beautiful.
I don't know. I think I would have zeroed in on him.
Yeah. Well, he's sassy.
He is sassy.
We love a sassy male. Like, oh, hello. And if you're skipping the massive spoiler section, that's where we'll pick up next week with chapters 7 through 12.
Let's talk about this mercenary and her oversized coin purse. It's one of those theories that refuses to die, and I get why. There's a long-running idea in the fandom that the unnamed mercenary we meet at the very beginning of ACOTAR might actually be Fury from Crescent City. Is it confirmed? Absolutely not. Is it canon? No. Is it fun to think about?
Yes.
Here's why people make that connection in the first place. First, there's the physical descriptions that overlap in ways that feel maybe intentional or hard to ignore at least. Fury is described as having a sharp, angular look, dark hair cut short, brown eyes, brown skin, and a presence that makes people nervous even when she's not doing anything. The mercenary Feyre meets early on is also described with chin length black hair, dark eyes with brown flecks, tan skin, and sharp features. Then there's the job overlap. They have similar LinkedIn profiles. Fury is a mercenary and an assassin. The woman in the village square, also a mercenary. She's armed, clearly experienced, and carrying enough money and high quality weapons that Feyre clocks her as someone dangerous. It's not just random traveler energy, like this is professional violence energy. But the detail that sends everyone spiraling is the wolves. The mercenary buys Feyre's pelt so she doesn't have to keep killing them herself. She's like, this will save me from having to do it. Later in Crescent City, we learn that Fury knew dangerous things about Danica, including secrets tied to bloodlines and wolves specifically. Fury even admits that she and Danica each held something explosive over each other's head. So the question is, what if Fury was already collecting wolf pelts for reasons that had nothing to do with Prithian economics and everything to do with research, bloodlines, or something bigger?
Ooh.
And there's the fact that Fury is constantly away on jobs, always vanishing, always somewhere else, always doing stuff that we just don't understand. And then the idea of her slipping between worlds, it doesn't feel totally impossible. We don't even know Fury's what house she belongs to, or her species, or her power. And I personally think that's something that SJM does to give herself options, like leaving it so open ended, but the mysterious background leaves a lot of room for theories. And to be fair, there are some very real counter arguments, and they're not weak ones. The biggest issue people raise is world hopping. At this point in the timeline, moving between worlds isn't something just anyone can do. There are rules, there are gates, there are objects you have to have. And if someone were freely traveling between worlds, it's hard to believe the Asteri wouldn't notice. And if they noticed, that person would either be under their control and doing their bidding or dead. So, does Fury work for the Asteri? We don't know if Fury works for them or she works adjacent to them. Or maybe she knows how to survive by never letting anyone know exactly how much she knows or what she can do. Like, that's kind of her whole thing. She's just so mysterious. Then there's the line describing the mercenary as a mountain of a woman. A lot of readers take that literally, that she's tall, broad, heavily muscled. Fury, by contrast, is usually described as lean, not massive, not towering. But the phrase doesn't, like, mountain of a woman doesn't have to just be about size, because she also talks about the mercenary holding court. And to me, that reads less like a body type note and more like a power note. Like, she has a presence, someone who takes up space without trying. And we are seeing this mercenary through Feyre's eyes, a young, starving, exhausted human who hasn't seen many strong, well fed, dangerous women in her life. So, to someone in that condition, a fit, muscular, confident woman would probably feel like a mountain of a woman. But there's also the accent. Feyre notes that the mercenary speaks with an accent she's never heard before. And, like, Feyre hasn't traveled much, but people from the continent and across Prithian passed through that village, especially when her father was still in the business of being a merchant.
Mm-hmm.
An entirely unfamiliar accent, it does stand out. So, is this theory that the mercenary is Fury airtight? No. Does it require some generous interpretation and a willingness to squint at timelines and mechanics? Absolutely. But as a piece of fandom speculation, as a what if Sarah did this on purpose and it just hasn't paid off yet? That idea, it does scratch something very satisfying. Like, it's fun to think about because this mercenary never comes back into the story. So I wouldn't be shocked if 10 books from now we find out that maybe Fury passed through a starving village in Prithian, bought a handful of wolf pelts, and vanished again. Like, that wouldn't surprise me, and I think it would be really fun. I'm not going to count on it. And we can talk more about Fury theories in the future because there are potential connections to Amryn, to Thanatos, to Hell with one L.
And we didn't do a full deep dive into the potential word marks on Feyre's cottage because the extent of that conversation at this point in the story is maybe.
Maybe.
They aren't in blood, but if the information were passed down through the bloodline to someone who just has a dash of Fey in their ancestry, maybe that got lost along the way.
So we're going to save the unhinged wordmark conversation for Akamath. And you know I need shit to look forward to, like this and little treats I'm looking forward to.
Thank you guys so much for coming on this unhinged, emotionally reckless journey with us.
I truly feel God in this book club tonight. And if you're enjoying the show, we do have to ask you the most annoying podcast thing imaginable and leave us a rating and review. I know I hate it too. I roll my eyes every time someone asks, but it helps the algorithm gods decide whether we live or die.
That's so dramatic. Live or die. But if you'd like a little physical reminder of your poor life choices, we do have stickers available on our website. Put them on your water bottle, your Kindle, your emotional support Stanley, wherever you want the world to know you willingly listen to us.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for screaming with us. Thank you for making this feral little corner of the internet feel like home. We love you. We're unwell, and we will see you next week.
Bye, y'all.